The right way to file for divorce. The moment I discovered Chase was cheating, I didn't hesitate, I asked for a divorce. He answered as if he'd rehearsed it. Sure, we can divorce. But with your history of depression and no income, you'll never get custody. And forget about the assets, don't even think of battling a lawyer in court. You'll walk away with nothing. If you don't want another woman raising our son, behave. Then he switched to the tender tone I used to love. Men have to network, sweetheart. Get used to it. I always come home to you. Isn't it nicer to be the understanding wife? In the end, I took his advice. I didn't file, I just grabbed a baseball bat and cracked his skull. When he called the cops, I summoned Dad, Mom, Mr. Father-in-law, and Mrs. Mother-in-law, wailing at full volume. Dear Lord, if I go to jail, Xander will never pass the civil service exam. Everyone begged Chase to drop it. Couples fight and make up. For the child's sake, let it go. Watching his ash-gray face, I smiled sweetly. See, honey? We should listen to reason. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us where you're listening in the comments. 1. After I found out about the cheating, my head buzzed for hours. For 2 years I'd stayed home because Xander's health was fragile. Chase had sworn he'd hustle for both of us, build our little nest egg. How long did that promise last before he was screwing the new secretary? I printed their hotel receipts and flung them in his face. Divorce. I'm done with you. I've always had a volcanic temper, zero tolerance for dirt in my eye. Who knew Mr. Nice Guy Chase had the guts to cat around? He flinched for half a second, then adjusted his glasses and chuckled. Fine by me. When we're through, you'll leave with the clothes on your back. His calm made my blood boil. I'm the injured party. I want custody and the bulk of our property, too. These past few years Chase's firm has billowed, annual haul around $2 million. I helped draft strategies before I quit to care for Xander. If our boy hadn't been sick, I'd still be in the trenches and he couldn't have duped me. Chase's voice was ice. You'll never get Xander. Depression on your chart, zero income, what judge hands a child to that? Sleepless nights worrying about Xander had sent me to the clinic. The doctor wrote depression to green light sleeping pills. I'd shrugged it off, until Chase weaponized the file. I shook so hard my teeth chattered. Are you even human? No guilt, only a shrug. You wanted this divorce. Don't blame me. The house is my premarital asset, same with the cars. The new lakefront villa and the SUV are titled to the firm. Profits are reinvested. Debts, though, plenty of those. Lakin, don't wage war on a lawyer. Walk away and I'll replace you by Christmas. Why do you think I kept you in Kashmir? Because you're Xander's mother. He flashed a predator's grin. If you don't want him calling another woman mommy, stay quiet. 3. I trained in law, I've seen rot from every angle. I just never expected to smell it on my own pillow. His vileness left me vibrating. Reading my silence as surrender, he softened. Darling, successful men socialize. Accept it. I'll always come home. Be the gracious wife, doesn't that sound easier? Look around, every alpha has side action. It's a status symbol. Keep the peace and we stay a happy family. That was the instant I knew his conscience had necrotized. I didn't answer. I scrubbed the tears off until my cheek stung. He mistook muteness for consent and kissed my cheek. I'll give you space. Think it over, all right? Whistling, he shrugged on his jacket. Let's take Xander to dinner tonight. We're overdue for family time. The door clicked shut. Only then did I crumple, sobbing until my ribs cramped. This was the man who'd vowed forever. Wolf in lawyer's wool, worse than an alley cur. How could I have been so blind? But grief ceded to fury. I forced myself cold. Truth, I'd sensed the rot for months. Friends warned that money corrupts. I'd laughed. A heart gone astray can't be fenced. Yet Chase wasn't merely cheating. He wanted me polishing his home, raising his child, while he sampled every available bed. He'd decayed to the marrow. 4 years ago, when Chase courted me, Dad still wielded department clout. Gossip said the rookie attorney chased our connections. I ignored the murmurs, his gentle manners and ambition fooled me. His practice did thrive, he played angles like a prodigy. Then Dad retired, and the mask melted. Last year Chase began preaching enlightened polygamy. Enter Gordon, his successful role model. Gordon's wife stayed home with 2 daughters. He grew bored, rented a mistress, fathered a son. Wife, cash-starved, capitulated. Monday, Wednesday, Friday with wife, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday with mistress, blissfully bifurcated. Chase drooled over the setup. He crowed that only studs deserve such bounty. I'd snorted, that's bigamy. Have you misplaced your ethics? Or your sperm count? Conceiving Xander had been a campaign. Chase's low motility meant labs, hormones, hope. Xander arrived fragile, high maintenance, 4 years of my life measured in nebulizer minutes. So whenever Chase fantasized aloud, I roasted him. Hand you a harem, could you even fill it? He sulked, then resumed quoting tycoons with multiple wives. Now I saw the canvas he'd been sketching. Crimson flag aloft at home, technicolor flags flapping beyond town. Catching him this easily probably suited him. Discovery granted permission, license to harem, signed by me. Swallow the insult? I'd rather suffocate. I dug my nails into my palms until crescents beaded scarlet. Pain sharpened thought. Legal war? I own the same playbook. 5. That evening I skipped the wifely wait. I packed Xander and drove to Cross. Mom assumed Chase was traveling. She and Dad whisked Xander off for grandparents' night out. I sat at the kitchen island, mapping countermoves until dawn. Chase thought he had the game won. Little did he know I wasn't nearly as useless as he believed. Sure, I'd stayed clear of the firm for 2 years, but I'd kept every tally in my head. I had roughly $2 million stashed, my dowry, New Year red envelopes, and every dollar I'd skimmed from household budgets. Mom keeps it in her safe deposit box, safe from any Chase divorce settlement. He thinks he's the only one who can move money around? I never trusted him 100%. What stay-at-home mom doesn't grow eyes in the back of her head? Cash isn't my only ace. I'm an only child. Dad and Mom retired from civil service with generous pensions and a riverfront condo outright paid off. Support like that can fund a war chest. Still, I need more. I won't be satisfied until Chase is ruined, crawling, begging. Only then will this poison drain from my lungs. 6. At 4 the next morning I left Xander with my parents and slipped back to the lakefront villa. Chase was still sprawled across the bed. I lifted his phone, tiptoed out, and drove to a hacker friend. Clone everything, then nuke whatever can be deleted. He hesitated. Once some of these are gone, they're gone forever. I smiled. That's the whole point. Half of Chase's clients live inside his WhatsApp groups. Without the app, he'll never find some of them again. And his sweet paralegal, Jade, loves erasing chats, does she? This time I'll do it for her, permanently. 7. I copied every byte that mattered, flirty texts, dick pics, voice notes to clients, spreadsheets of invoices he never declared. Then I stomped the phone to splinters and dropped the shards down a storm drain. Job done, I swung by the house on my way back. I fished Xander's aluminum baseball bat from the mudroom and hid it behind my leg. The instant Chase saw me he barked, "Where the hell were you last night? Where's Xander? And my phone, did you take it? Don't play games, Lakin." His voice pounded, each word meant to chip away my pride. I didn't bother answering. I whipped the bat across his face, crack, and shattered his 1,000-degree lenses. "Ah, you psycho." He clawed at his eyes, blind without the glasses. Watching him crumple felt like champagne in my veins. I rained more blows, ribs, thighs, shoulders, anywhere that wouldn't kill. Cheat on me, will you? Hide our assets? Keep a harem? Think the world belongs to you? Between swings I cursed him raw. You bastard, did no one ever teach you to leave breathing room? If you'd owned up and split things fair, I wouldn't hate you this much. You wanted it all, then planned to kick me out? Expected me to swallow it and smile? Dream on. Crush people and you'll find the blade cuts both ways, 800 on me, 1,000 on you. 8. I spared only lethal spots, every other inch of him met the bat at full force. Better his bruises than the rage gnawing a hole through my chest. When my arms finally went numb, Chase lay bleeding, blubbering. You trying to kill me? I'll call the cops. You'll rot in jail." I rammed my heel into his mouth. More noise and I'll knock out the rest of your teeth. I tossed the bat aside, slapped him once more. Relax, just flesh wounds. I'll even call the ambulance for you. Paramedics arrived, saw the wreckage, and assumed a break-in. Sir, do you want us to call the police? Chase held through split lips, yes. Domestic assault. Battery. I want a forensic exam. The crew, unaccustomed to a female aggressor, stared slack-jawed. I smiled sweetly. Marital tiff, officer, nothing more. He cheated, I scolded him. Happens in every family. One EMT, a woman, discreetly flashed me a thumbs up. Still, the hospital phoned it in. 9. The precinct lectured me on domestic assault and a possible criminal record. I stayed calm, offered no excuses, just phoned Dad, Mom, Mr. Father-in-law, and Mrs. Mother-in-law. All 4 rushed in, bewildered. I broke into tears. He's having an affair and wants a divorce. When I confronted him, he tried to beat me. I fought back, pure self-defense. Dad hugged me. How could he? Mom wiped my cheeks. Money goes to a man's head and morals fly out. Mr. Father-in-law and Mrs. Mother-in-law looked sick. Mrs. Mother-in-law whispered, but you broke both his forearms, split his scalp, his body is purple. I cried louder. He's twice my size. If I hadn't stopped him, Xander would be motherless. Could Jade ever love our boy? Would she even try? Let him press charges. Send me to jail. Then our son can never run for office, never escape the stain. Where's the justice? My in-laws love their grandson more than their pride. In turn they cornered Chase. You cheated first. Corner a cat and it scratches. Think of Xander, patch this up quietly. Chase dared not risk headlines. Dad still commands favors around town. Predictably, I walked out with a signed waiver of prosecution, my in-laws' peace offering. 10. I strolled into his hospital room hours later. He recoiled like I was the plague. You monster. Divorce, now. I beamed. Divorce? We're man and wife, parents to a beautiful boy. Why split? I plan to cherish you, darling. He shook so hard the 4-line wobbled. Take the lakefront villa, the Cayenne, $500,000, done. But Xander stays with me, you can have more kids, I can't. I wagged a finger. Tempting, but no. I'm staying Mrs. Redford forever. Mrs. Mother-in-law fluttered beside him. Listen to her, Chase. Talk things through, for the child. His face turned the color of wet ash. 11. Step 2 commenced the instant I left his ward. I printed 1,000 blow-ups of Chase and Jade's sexts, censoring only genitals and firm logos. I hired a box truck, rallied 3 girlfriends, and parked outside Jade's townhouse in Maple. We strung a protest banner, wife seeking co-wife for cheating husband. My crew worked like a campaign team, driver, leaflet printer, megaphone announcer. Maple's retirees poured out for the free show. I sobbed on cue, flashing the lovers' selfies, receipts for furry handcuffs, bunny ears, and flavored lube. Credit to Jade, Chase put her through every kink in the catalog. If he'd asked me to play Easter Bunny in cuffs, I'd have brained him sooner. I hadn't planned to target her, but she's already pocketed a $25,000 hatchback and is house hunting on his dime. A girl who collects down payments on another woman's marriage deserves front row seats at her own exposé. That would mean a huge loss for me. The grandpas and grandmas in the neighborhood perked up and got an education the moment they saw the flyers, pointing and chattering nonstop. Whoa. And that girl looks so proper. Never judge a book by its cover, huh? That position, way too advanced, burns my eyes. Jade's parents were mortified and stormed out to scream at me. I planted my hands on my hips, battle-ready and bristling. How did you raise a daughter who can't do a single useful thing except be somebody's mistress? Did she major in homewrecking 101? Is your family so desperate for cash you've gone crazy? Why not just rob a bank while you're at it? Let me tell you, trash is trash. No economic crisis is going to turn you into luxury goods. Jade's mom and dad sputtered, half fainting from rage, but they couldn't outshout me and had no right on their side. All they could do was summon Jade back home. When Jade saw those intimate photos, she was so furious she called the cops. But when the officers arrived, there was nothing they could do. The flyers had already gone out, and nobody could prove we'd distributed them. Not to mention no names were printed. Jade screamed at me, "No wonder your husband dumped you. You're nothing but a shrew. I'm suing you." I sneered, "You're keeping my husband only makes you his free chicken, don't flatter yourself." Sue me? I'll countersue. Every dollar Chase spent on you is marital property. If you've got a brain, you'll cough it all up. Otherwise I'll bury you in court. Thinking of Chase lying in the hospital, Jade froze under my glare. Her own father, disgusted by the scandal, smacked her across the face several times. I watched from the sidelines, utterly satisfied. 12. A few minutes later my phone rang. Chase. Lakin, what the hell do you want? I'm warning you, knock it off. Smiling sweetly, I said, Chase, honey, didn't you want the whole 3 wives 4 concubines package? I'm only being the perfect spouse, helping you expand the harem. After all, these were his wishes. Chase lost it. Keep it up and she'll press charges. I laughed out loud. Let her. Go ahead, sue me, what evidence does she have? I'd printed no names, never lifted a finger. What exactly would the complaint say? They're not the only ones who know the law. Just like today's stunt, Jade's reputation is now sewer level, yet legally she can't pin a thing on me. Physical assault would escalate things, sure, but in my book, stabbing the heart is the cruelest kill. Hitting her would only dirty my hands. Rumor has it that after our scene, Jade's mom was so ashamed she nearly hanged herself in despair. Jade kept swearing she'd sue, but Chase eventually calmed her down. Of course, if I end up with a criminal record, the real casualty is our child. My in-laws chimed in. She's not worth it, some outsider. Xander's mom just needs to vent. Let her get it out of her system. We can't let the boy's only mother land in trouble. I sneered silently. Chase thinks he can control me through our son. A child is always a mother's soft spot. But it's his too, isn't it? He cheats, hides assets, tries to railroad me. Legally, his paperwork may be watertight. Yet law can't erase human feeling, and loopholes are everywhere. 13. After the flyer fiasco, Chase realized I wouldn't be scared off. Whatever he told Jade, he convinced her to sell her brand new car and wire every cent to my account. He also said he wanted to talk divorce terms properly and that he was ready to give more ground. But I knew the time wasn't ripe, so I didn't take the bait. 2 quiet days later, I stormed straight to the entrance of Chase's firm. His office sits in a downtown high-rise. The ground floor opens into a public cafe. I parked myself by the cafe door and stopped every client I spotted heading upstairs. Then I laid out how he'd abandoned his wife, hidden assets, and cheated with his secretary, complete with photos. I gave him my youth, bore his child, ran our home, everything. He keeps a mistress, shifts our money offshore, and expects me to walk away penniless. This man isn't just unethical, he's morally bankrupt. How can you hire a lawyer who'd screw over his own wife? If he has no conscience at home, why would he show you any? Nobody wants to swim in someone else's filth. One after another, prospective clients spun on their heels and left. When word reached Chase, he forgot he was supposed to be nursing his injuries and hobbled downstairs, livid. Lakin. What the hell are you doing? Sabotaging my firm is illegal. I gave the cafe owner a cool look. I bought a coffee, mind if I sit here? The owner swallowed. Of course you may, I smiled sweetly. Hear that? I'm sipping coffee and chatting with passers-by. What crime is that? Everything I've said is true. You abandoned your family, hid assets, facts. If you've got a problem, sue me. Aren't you a lawyer? Chase was speechless, panting. He turned to 2 junior associates. Get her out of here. The young man looked pained but stepped forward to persuade me. Sis, let's go home, okay? Let's talk about this in private. I yelled, lay a finger on me and I call 911 right now. Then I shouted, everybody see this? They're trying to detain me illegally, assault on my person. Please call the cops. 17th floor, Chase Associates. Get your phones out, record the famous lawyer breaking the very laws he swore to uphold. The 2 associates went chalk white and retreated several steps. They didn't dare come closer. I put on a terrified act and burst into theatrical sobs. No justice. First he dumps me for a mistress, now he wants me silenced by force. Tell me, who gave you the right? Who let you act above the law? My spectacle drew a crowd, phones popped up everywhere. Chase shielded his face. No, it's just a marital spat, stop filming, please. In the end he slunk back upstairs with his tail between his legs. 14. At quitting time Chase trudged down, ashen-faced. In one afternoon I'd scared off every single client who'd come to see him. He'd never imagined I could be this relentless. He threw his head back and held, finally softening. What do you want? Just name it. Let's end this amicably, please. My throat was sand-dry from talking all day. I gulped a bottle of Coke and chuckled. What do I want? You've known from the start, stop playing dumb. Chase closed his eyes, defeated. Fine, you get custody, the house and cars, plus $3 million on top. Satisfied? A major chunk of flesh. I laughed out loud. Who said anything about custody? Keep the kid, I want cash. On top of the house and cars, I want 10 million, not a penny less. You said it yourself, I've got a depression history and no income. I'm a jobless nobody with oceans of free time to play this game. I'd done the math, that figure should drain every liquid dollar he can scrape up. Chase stared in disbelief. You don't want Xander? Your own child? I gave a cold smile. Correct. I want money, Alex. No divorce until I get it. Let's see who breaks first. And I'll be paying another visit to your little secretary's family. Plenty left unsaid last time. I'll make them regret every choice they made. Maybe my demand was too much. Chase couldn't swallow it. He swayed, sucked in a ragged breath. Honey, please, enough. I was wrong, really wrong this time. I'll end it with her today. I know I hurt you. The awful things I said were just to keep you. I never truly wanted a divorce. I screwed up, thought you'd tolerate it. Now I see, you're not like other women. Please, forgive me just once. Let's give Xander an intact family. I'll spend my life making it up to you. No more cheating, ever. 15. Seeing Chase's fawning face, I suddenly flashed back to our old fights. I used to love that he had a gentle temper, that he folded quickly whenever I got mad, always the first to apologize. Baby, don't be mad, come on, it's all my fault. Every time I forgave him, then curled against his chest and pinched the tender meat on the inside of his arm. His face would twitch in pain and he'd beg, easy, easy. Back then my heart was nothing but sugar. I thought I'd found the man I could grow old with. I never guessed how quickly a heart can change. Or maybe I'd never really known him at all. Watching Chase give me that same coaxing smile now, I feel nothing but rage and grief. I curl my lip in contempt and say, what are you dreaming of? Getting back together? Can you glue shattered glass back together? Can a broken mirror be whole again? Screw you. I stare at him coldly. Take my terms, better for both of us. 16. 2 days later Chase finally agreed to the divorce. He signed the house and cars over to me. 10 million is too much. I only have 8 right now. That's every dollar of cash I have. He still owns the firm. He isn't worried about earning it back. I figured there's no need to tighten the screws too hard. Where's the fun after that? So we picked up our divorce decree the same afternoon. That morning Chase looked exhausted. Whether you believe it or not, I really never thought we'd divorce, I thought. He exhaled. Lakin is Lakin, I was nuts to think I could rein you in. If we weren't in a crowded hallway I would have slapped him senseless. Rein? Where did you pick up that word? You think I'm a horse, or that you're even human? Let me tell you, Chase, I will never forgive what you've done. Chase, before he left he tipped his head up. Later, can we be ordinary friends? I smiled at him. Where do you get the gall? Next I drove Xander to the in-laws and whispered in his ear, Mommy will come get you soon. Xander didn't understand, he sobbed until he hiccuped. When I walked out, Mr. and Mrs. Mother-in-law were still flustering over him. I wiped my tears and turned away without looking back. I hadn't gone far when Mrs. Mother-in-law ran after me, pleading, Lakin, don't be angry, we don't recognize anyone else, only you. When you come around, can you two remarry? She had always treated me well, I didn't want to hurt her. But Chase's cruelty is a stone I will never swallow. Mom, remarriage is impossible. But if Xander needs anything, call me anytime. 17. Back home, Mom and Dad urged me to rest a while, then start over. I didn't slow down. Too much still waited, one item at a time. Divorce was only step 1, the real drama came next. The following day I asked Chase's former partner Donovan to meet. Donovan was about 47, a generation ahead of us. He and Chase once shared a firm, but their styles clashed. Chase thought Donovan rigid and holier than thou. Donovan despised how Chase painted the ethical line red then tap danced on it, so they split. The breakup got ugly. Afterward Chase used his network to sabotage Donovan. Apart from me, no one hates Chase more than he does, so I chose him. When Donovan saw me he said politely, Sis-in-law, long time, what can I do for you? My expression was solemn. By now the whole city knows about Chase and me. After all, the ugliness had practically trended locally. Donovan looked awkward. Yeah, I heard, so you're. I came straight to the point. I'm here to ask if you'd be interested in opening a firm with me. 2 years as a stay-at-home mom taught me a woman must have her own career. Donovan's eyebrows shot up. You want to run a shop? Just to steal Chase's clients? Sure, the guy's morals are garbage, But what makes you think you can topple him? I smiled thinly and slid a folder across the table. This is exactly how. That's Chase's entire client roster. I know his two biggest pipelines inside out. One of them has been mine to maintain all along. If I want, I can siphon off more than 40%. Even if I can't grab the rest, I'll stir the pot so hard no one will pick him. 18. In this market, apart from a handful of marquee names, most lawyers look interchangeable to the public. Landing business hinges less on raw skill than on networks and schmoozing. Chase spends a third of his profits every year wining, dining, and gift carding clients, so that client list is the crown jewel. I compiled it from memory plus his chat logs. Ironically, part of the network had come from Dad in the first place. Donovan stared, stunned. He flipped the pages again and muttered, Chase just signed his own death warrant. Exactly. He thought Dad was retired and I was home with diapers, so he could walk on me. I'll teach him how to spell regret. We rented space in the tower facing Chase's office, filed the papers for Vendetta Pierce LLP, and hired 2 hungry associates. Years away from practice, I'd start as rainmaker. Donovan pored over his own book of business. My first target, Chase's crown jewel client, Lynette. 19. I knew plenty of men would shrug off a little cheating, some even admire the game. My public tantrum had already turned him into a punchline, but I needed more. Lynette, pushing 50, had built a retail empire after her ex dumped her for a mistress and left her with a toddler. A woman like that would gag on Chase's antics. So I showed up with a gift basket, spilled the whole saga, and watched the disgust flood her face. She told me, "You're doing the right thing, women have to stand on their own, begging for scraps is hell." Tears shimmering, I passed her my card. "We're seasoned, and because you and I go way back, I'm cutting my rate 20%, better deal than Chase." Chase had grown fat and pricey, I'd win by offering value. I also hinted that most of his influence was really Dad's, and Dad was done, whereas I could deliver. Lynette took one night to decide, the files moved the next morning. 19. Donovan gave me a thumbs up the size of Texas. That moron Chase dumped the smartest woman in Riverdale. Ice crawled through my veins every time I remembered Chase's rain remark. Donovan rolled his eyes. Guy's 30-something brain is still futile. He turned to the 2 new associates. When you make it big, don't pull this crap. One kid shrank into his collar. Avery, if I can just get a wife I'll be thrilled. Cheating? No thanks. The other shrugged. I'm not sure I'll ever marry, but if I do, I'll treat her right. Donovan laughed. Talk is cheap, life will test you. I shook my head, smiling. While we rode the updraft, the in-laws cracked first. Xander is a high-maintenance kid, sickly and clingy, raising him is a full-time grind. Otherwise I wouldn't have quit my job. Parking him with them was my way of showing how hard the last 4 years had been. Within a month he caught 2 bugs and missed almost every preschool day. Mrs. Mother-in-law rang me sighing, begging me to come see him. I called Chase instead. I gave birth, but custody is yours. You can't shove him at your parents and ghost. Chase stammered, he couldn't find a word. He was used to me running the household like clockwork while he never lifted a finger. But the instant he walked through the door now he was met with a wailing child and parents whose faces were nothing but accusation. After all, if he hadn't been cheating, the old couple would still be living in undisturbed comfort. Cornered, Chase hired a live-in nanny and even tried to park Jade at the lakefront villa to look after Xander. Sooner or later you'll marry me and you'll have to accept the kid, think of this as a head start on bonding. Jade was barely 25, the last thing she wanted was to play instant stepmother. She refused to set foot at the in-laws and clung to him instead. Since your divorce is final, let's get married. I'll give you another son. Chase had always secretly blamed me for the boy's fragile health, so the offer lit a fire in him. Maybe to show the world he'd won, they threw a blowout wedding and flew to the Maldives for honeymoon selfies. Pity for them, by the time they landed I had already filched more than half his client roster. 20. Chase and I are built differently. Vendetta is lean, tight, and rational. Every body has a purpose. His shop is oversized. When the cases dry up, the daily hemorrhage of overhead is brutal. I had also siphoned off most of his liquid cash. Life on his side of the river had to sting. Word was, the honeymoon ended with him ditching his bride to chase retainers, working the circuit until his stomach lining almost perforated. Still, he clawed a few accounts back. He rang me, gloating. Think you can bury me? Not that easy. Building a firm isn't child's play. Watch how you two crash and burn. Donovan bristled. Guess crushing him won't be a one-night job. I said softly, let the bullet fly a little longer. The follow-up shot was chambered. I only wondered whether he could take the recoil. A few days later, a visitor stopped by Vendetta who made me blink twice, Gordon's wife. We'd only crossed paths a handful of times, never long enough for real talk. Whenever I saw her folded into herself, apologizing for breathing, something in me twisted. She asked for me, and I said, "Sis, what can I, divorce?" The word hung unsaid. Leah exhaled, "Lakin, hearing what you're doing with Chase, it struck a nerve." Another sigh. I kept telling myself I stayed for the kids, but truth is I was terrified, no skills, no leverage. Scared they'd suffer if I dragged them into poverty with me. Then she lifted her chin and squared her shoulders. "But kids raised in a toxic house are ruined just the same. I'm a human being too. I'm done swallowing it." I squeezed her hand. "All right. I'll handle it." 21. Gordon's counsel of record, Chase. First time we'd faced off from opposite ends of the table. He hated looking at me, yet he managed. "If we divorce, Gordon can pay $2,000 a month for one child." "That's it." I smiled. His cheeks colored. "What's so funny? Birds of a feather, you and Mr. Galloway really do share a script. 2 peas, 1 rotten pod." He cleared his throat. "I've already given you everything. Let's stick to business, no side remarks." "Gladly. I adore business." I slid a stack across the mahogany. Leah had handed me the ammo, I'd merely loaded the chambers. "Here's Gordon's asset schedule. We want 50% of the pie, plus a $5 million education and wedding trust for both kids, payable upfront." Chase flipped pages. "Impossible. Half of this isn't titled in Gordon's name, it's outside the marital pot. Same old hide and seek." I let the chill show. "Refuse and we'll petition to freeze every account. The headache lands on you." "Anne." I dealt the next envelope. "Evidence of bigamy. Condo lease at Ewan Gardens. Purchase funds wired from Gordon. Utility bills, neighbor affidavits. Crowning gem, the birth certificate of the love child, father's name printed in black and white. Photographs, holiday cards, joint vacation itineraries spilled across the table. Rock solid. Conviction risk, 2-year jail sentence if we press it. Gordon loses the nest, the chicks, and the entire game board." 22. Verdict, I won, call it in re Leah. She walked out with exactly what the law owed her. Watching her shepherd her daughters toward a new life, I felt weightless. It's never too late to wake up. Chase, smarting, retaliated by raiding our client list. Cutthroat competition is his native tongue. Inside a week he pirated several accounts. Donovan fumed, "That snake fights dirty." Seeing me unruffled, he asked, "So where's your bullet now?" I grinned, already grazing the target. 2 days later I filed a 4-count complaint against Chase with the state bar. Bribing a witness, suborning perjury, unauthorized acquisition of privileged data. All scraped from his own phone, audio and chat logs curated byte by byte. While everyone thought I was buried in motions, I was actually building the cage that would lock him out of every courtroom forever. The subpoena landed, panic finally cracked his voice. "You did take my phone. We were husband and wife, how could you?" "I'm Xander's father." "Lakin, you merciless." He was almost crying. I answered, cool and flat, "Chase, I promised one day I'd make you weep with regret." Taylor, history shows empires burn from the inside when the king can't keep his pants zipped. Cry if you must, it's all that's left. I have never tasted air so sweet. Epilogue. After the hearing, the state bar revoked his license. 1 count carried enough heft to earn him a 1-year jail sentence. None of it surprised me. Every month another lawyer tumbles off that ethical cliff, drunk on loopholes. The moment the cell door slammed, his firm imploded, partners bolted, associates scattered. I vacuumed up every last client. Then karma added a twist. Jade delivered a baby with severe disabilities, surgeries priced in the millions. Mr. Father-in-law and Mrs. Mother-in-law crawled to me for mercy. I sent them away empty-handed. A 20-something girl, a sick infant, a husband in orange, regret hung in their halls like mold. I seized the opening and reclaimed Xander's custody. When I led my boy out of the Redford estate, the world felt lighter than helium. "Xander, did you miss mommy?" "Every second. I love you biggest." "Then let's hit the carnival, you, me, and the carousel." "Yeah. Forever and ever, just us. From now on, anyone who claims a woman can't have both family and empire will get my needle and thread sewn through their lips. I want the porch swing and the corner office, the bedtime stories and the billable hours, because I can pay the price for every last dream." And, thanks for listening. If you loved the ride, smash that like, share with your crew, and drop your thoughts below. Subscribe for more stories that bite back. See you next time.